Hi there, my name's Tom, and today we're going to be doing an infoboxing of the Judge Dredd I Am the Law starter box set by Warlord Games. So here we are. This is the starter set. You have got a lot of stuff in here. Now, one thing I should probably say, as you can probably tell from all the popped cardboard, I've been through this box before, so some of this stuff will come on sprues, and also that some of the models will come in multiple parts. So we'll go through that as we get there. But let's have a look at what we have. So, also, I haven't set the models down onto the little bases yet. But let's have a look what we have. Oh, in fact, let's just tip all this out. We'll get through it and rebox. So, first thing, the map. So this is quite a large... See, double-sided map. So that side you've got a quite a low-level map, and something similar on the other side. So you've got a couple of different regions. You can. Oh, I haven't even finished from doing it yet. There you go. Huge this thing is. You're not going to be able to see all of this in one shot. So yeah, you're going to need a big table to play this game. But yes, so you have a. Not to the camera. You've got a double-sided map to play on, which is quite nice. Let's fold that back up. We can work out how. There we go. Probably should say a bit more about the game. The game is a skirmish game set in the Judge Dredd universe by 2000 AD. I'm not a massive fan of Judge Dredd, but it is probably, of all the comic books, my favourite one, so I do know a little bit about the lore. So anyway, next up, after the map, you've got this, the colossal rulebook. Don't be put off by this though. The actual rules themselves, pretty much, let's go. There we go. So you've actually only got 37 pages of rules, which is not too bad for a skirmish game. And that covers absolutely everything you need, from vehicle combat to how cover works, shooting, hand-to-hand combat, and how the action mechanics work in this game, which I actually think is a very good system. It's the same one that was used in the Strontium Dog game. The other thing you can see here is there is a lot of artwork from the comics, as well as a few pictures of nice painted minis in lovely 3D arenas. But yeah, so you got that. The rest of the rulebook is basically like weapon profiles and character profiles. And different abilities that people can have. So there's a lot of that. You've also got, towards the back, you've got some scenarios you can play through, as well as some rules for running the game as a campaign. And lastly, you also have, where are you? So this is all to do with the campaign stuff, where you can basically get new promotions and notoriety, which is kind of how this game, the equivalent of points that you get in something like a Games Workshop game. Where are you? There is basically, I can't find it now. There's essentially, if you're playing on the judge side, you can sentence the perps on the other side to different sentences, which means if you're playing as a campaign, they won't be able to bring certain characters back in for a your opponents won't be able to bring certain characters back in for a certain number of turns. For a certain number of games, because they are currently in jail. And then you've also got your campaign sheet, should you want to play this game as a campaign. Next up, we've got this, which is basically your quick start guide. This is all of the scenarios. Oh, some of the scenarios, sorry. I think there's 5 in the main book. There is just the first 3 in here, as well as who you get to use and any special rules and deployments. All very good. Next up, you've got, let's put these back, we have some little terrain cards. So these terrains are dual-sided as well, so you can have like a kind of nice pristine version and also a bit of a wrecked version. Same with all these things. Cars that have been wrecked. There as well. Nice thing about these cars, obviously you've got, there is actually one of the scenarios, you can have like a vehicle combat scenario, which is quite cool. If you want, these are actually available to buy as 3D miniatures, which is quite cool. They look very nice, very paintable. And you got some barricades, and you've got like nice pristine barricades, and then, you know, like broken gunshot barricades. They've got a few more pieces over here as well, as you can see, like a nice, looks like an oil tank of something, and then smashed up one, as well as a few other pieces like that. So I say, got bases for the miniatures. Let's have a look at these miniatures. So the base game, you will get two judges. Let's get the judges out. You have these two. So you have a street judge, which looks quite cool. Should mention, this is not Judge Dredd. You can play it as Judge Dredd if you want, but the miniature itself, there is actually a separate Judge Dredd miniature that you can get, which when you get that one, also comes with the Lawmaster bike as well, so you can use it in vehicle combats. And you've got this one as well, which is a rookie judge. So there we go. We've got the judges, and people who the judges are going to be going up against are the block gangers. So if you're familiar with the way Judge Dredd works in all the lore, you've basically got these massive giant tile structures which are called blocks in the cities, and you have gangs that basically take over these blocks, and they'll fight wars by firing off weapons in between these blocks. They showed it in the old Stallone Judge Dredd film. Anyway, sorry, these are a couple of the block gangers here. So they've all got a variety of different weapons, generally like pistols or stub guns, which is like the Judge Dredd equivalent of a shotgun, and knives and chains and all that kind of good stuff. Obviously, the fact you only get two judges compared to 8 of these guys, you can probably tell they're not the most well-armoured or well-trained. A couple of these are the ones that actually come with in multiple pieces. This one, for example, comes in 2 pieces. And one thing to bear in mind, these are a resin miniature, which means you're going to need to use super glue. Were you putting these together? I think this is the other one that comes in 2 pieces. Yeah, you're going to need super glue when you're putting these together, because plastic cement will not work on these. So yeah, the other thing to bear in mind with resin is if you're painting them, give them a good wash with soapy water before you get going to get any of the mold remover out. Anyway, that's done. We also have some dice. So get these out. So you have a couple of standard D6s, which are, yeah, those are used in a couple of like checks. I think when you're like sprinting around, you basically get to move. Oh, steady. You get to move like twice your normal movement plus a D6, so you roll that to see exactly how far you get to sprint. These are the main action dice you have. They have 3 faces, which are going to be explosions, shields, and the 2000 AD special symbol. So depending on what you are rolling for, you'll be interested in different symbols on those. You just put those back. Put those back in the bag. Next up, let's talk cards. So there's a couple of different types of cards in the game. We have these, which are basically your stat cards. So this is your rookie judge. Those are your stats. So that's movement, attack. So well, basically ranged attack with a weapon, hand-to-hand combat, evasion, toughness or something like that, and then cool. So cool is an actual thing on this one, where you want things to be very, very cool because they're less likely to get they're less likely to get dazed and stuff like that. But also you'll get special chips to go into your action bag, which I'll get there. And at the bottom is, I say, the notoriety, which is what's used in this game. It's like a point system. And on the back of all the cards, you've got a bit of information about the special rules for them, as well as what weapons they can have. So there you got that. Veteran Street Judge. There you go, bit of different stats. And regular judge, so not a street judge, but just a regular judge. Senior street judge, so these are obviously very expensive characters. And then you've got block gang, so that's all the different types of block gangers all on one card, with the exception of the lieutenant, who has their own special card. And then we've gone through already? Yes, we have. Street Judge. So those are the cards that come in come in the main game. As I said, you'll notice Judge Dredd is not actually in there, but all the details to play as Judge Dredd are in that big rule book that I showed you at the beginning. The next thing we've got is the rest of the cards. So we've got some more cards here. There are two different types of cards. We have Armory cards and Big Meg cards. They're called, named after Mega City 1, where this game takes place. So Armory cards are basically special basically arms that you can use at certain points in the game. They all have some nice artwork from the comics, which is all very nice. But yeah, basically at the beginning of any scenarios you're playing, you'll, as a rule, be told which armory cards to bring into. And the other thing we have is these, the Big Meg cards, which are basically events of certain types. So these can like mix things up the way the game works. There are, you'll be given a couple each generally to start off with, and then if you're playing like a one-off game, if you've haven't got enough points to face the other player, you'll generally get to be given some Big Meg cards to make up the difference. So you've got a few more events on your side. You've also got in the box, there we go, these, which are just some like little transfers and decals, should you want to put those on any other. So if you go and buy some terrain from somewhere, you can put some of these transfers on them to make them look more authentic in the Judge Dredd sense. And then lastly, we have these. Ooh, another barrier over there that I missed. So these are all the plastic tokens you'll receive in the Judge Dredd game. They come in two different colours. The blue ones are for the block gangers and the gold ones are for the judges. Obviously you can paint them up as you see fit. We're just going to look at the gold ones because they're actually exactly the same. So you've got a couple of different things here. You have these guys, which are injury markers. So these injury markers, if any of your judges take get an injury, you'll place one of these markers next to them, so everybody is aware that they've been injured. That's going to mean all of their roles are a little bit harder to accomplish. Next up, we have got death markers. So if you've got any dead judges, you have to place one of these on them to show that they have died. You've also got a few different numbers tokens. These are kind of, they're not really used for anything other than like marking certain things. So if you've got the same, for example, the same judge model being used in two different places, you can mark one is number 1 and one is number 2, so you can differentiate between them a little easier. Get rid of some more of these health markers. There we go. Right, you've also got these ones here, which are these little things, which are the under fire markers, which basically means you're kind of pinned down somewhere, so it makes movement a little bit more difficult, all that kind of stuff. You have got these dazed markers, which are kind of like a wound, but they're a little bit easier to recover from. But you get that, like, kind of, you get shot at, don't get dealt any damage, but you do, basically, you get a bit dazed. So you've got to clear your head to make sure you're ready to go again. We've got these, which are the moving fast markers, which basically you will use at any time you're legging it across the battlefield to try and get to somebody. We've got a couple of Overwatch markers, so anybody who plays a lot of these kind of games will be familiar with Overwatch, but it basically means you forfeit your turn to be able to fire back at the enemy should they move at you during their go. And these are the action chips. And I've not seen this before. I really like the way these work. So basically, you've got two different types of action chips, either ones with a star on or ones without a star on them. Basically, for every miniature you have in your little squad, you'll place one of these action tokens into a bag or something like that that you can't see into. And then one at a time, you'll draw, and your opponents will also be in there as well. And you'll just basically draw one token at a time, and if it's the one for your army, you get to activate one of your minions. If it's for your opponents, they get to activate one of theirs, which is quite cool because you don't have you don't really have a determined turn order. You can, if you've got a lot of units, you can be pretty much guaranteed that one of your people will activate, first, and you'll get more activations, obviously. but you always have that outside chance that somebody else is going to get activated, which is quite cool. And the other thing you've got is, like I say, you've got stars and non-star versions of them. So if any of your characters have a coolness of 4, you get to place a star token in them. And you don't actually have to use that star token to activate that character with a coolness of 4. So, for example, the senior judges we had a look at, they've got a coolness of 4. So for every senior judge, you get to throw a star token in there. But you could use that to activate, say, one of your rookie judges. The cool thing about those star tokens is, after you've finished, you get the choice. You can basically do a skill roll to try and put it back into the bag so you can use it again, which is quite cool. I like that. So you want to try and get as many things with high cool in there, but obviously they cost more, so you don't get to field as many units. It's a nice little choice you're going to have to make. Now you can see on the side here, actually, those, oh dear, poured everything out. You can see those vehicles I was telling you about earlier, as well as some nice painted versions of all of the miniatures. But that's it. That is everything you get in the Judge Dredd I Am the Law starter box. You can play this 2-player out of the box. There's actually nothing stopping you playing this multiple, like up to, I think, well, there's actually, I can't remember if there's actually a maximum player count on it. I don't think there is. There are an awful lot of factions in the box. So obviously you've got the Block Gangers, but then you've got some renegade judges you can play as. Judge Death is available for this, which is very, very cool. You've got some of the fatties, which is from one of the storylines early on in Judge Dredd, which is quite a funny one, where obesity becomes a crime and they have to go out and start judging. Anyway, they're in there as well, that you can buy those miniatures. So technically you can have a bunch of different people playing each of those. You'd have to paint some of the tokens up, but that's it. Anyway, as I say, that is the Judge Dredd I Am the Law starter set. Hope you enjoyed. Take care.